The rain hammered against the windshield like 1,000 tiny fists, each drop a reminder of the storm brewing both outside and within me. As I navigated the winding roads of Oregon, the familiar landscape blurred through the downpour, but I couldn't shake the memories flooding my mind. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my knuckles turning white. The childhood home loomed just ahead, a dark silhouette against the churning gray sky, and a wave of anxiety washed over me. Just a quick visit, I muttered to myself, trying to quell the unease that coiled in my stomach. You can do this. But even as I said the words, the memories surged. My brother's laugh echoing in the halls, the warmth of family dinners. I pushed those thoughts away, desperate to avoid the past that had haunted me for years. When I finally parked in the driveway, the house stood silent, a ghost of its former self. The wind howled outside, a mournful sound that sent a shiver down my spine. I took a deep breath before stepping out of the car, the air thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth and something else, something rotten. "What a welcome," I whispered, forcing my feet to move toward the front door. The moment I crossed the threshold, the eerie quiet enveloped me. The door creaked ominously as I pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit foyer. Shadows danced in the corners, twisting into shapes that seemed almost alive. "Hello?" I called out, my voice barely breaking the silence. No response, just the relentless howl of the wind outside. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and I felt a chill creep up my spine. As I stepped further inside, a sudden burst of laughter echoed through the halls, high-pitched and childlike. My heart raced. "Is someone there?" I called, but only the storm answered, a mocking reminder of my solitude. I shook my head, dismissing it as my imagination. Surely, after all these years, my mind was playing tricks on me. Yet, the feeling of being watched lingered, prickling at the back of my neck. I could almost feel the weight of eyes on me, judging, waiting. "Get a grip, Jake," I whispered to myself, though the words felt hollow in the oppressive atmosphere. I took a step deeper into the house, the floorboards creaking beneath me, each sound magnified by the silence that enveloped me. The storm raged outside, a cacophony of thunder and rain, but it was the voices in my mind that kept me awake. I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, replaying the memories of my younger brother, Billy. It was as if the tempest outside had conjured the ghost of that fateful night when everything changed. I could almost hear the echo of his laughter, bright and innocent, mingling with the roar of the storm. "Billy," I whispered into the darkness, my heart heavy with guilt. I remembered the night he disappeared, a night much like this one. The wind howled, rattling the windows, and I felt a chill creep up my spine. I could almost see his small frame, running through the rain, his laughter fading into the distance. "Jake, are you awake?" A voice slithered through the dark. It was my own, taunting me. I rolled over, trying to shake off the grip of the past. I needed to forget, to move on, but the house had other plans. With a deep breath, I got out of bed and made my way to the living room, my footsteps echoing in the silence. The air felt thick, charged with something I couldn't quite grasp. I rummaged through old family albums, the pages yellowed and fragile. Each photograph felt like a portal to a time I wanted to forget but couldn't. Then I found it, a photo of Billy, his bright smile frozen in time. I flipped it over, and my heart raced as I saw a strange symbol drawn in crayon on the back. Confusion washed over me. What did it mean? Why had I never noticed it before? Drawn by an unexplainable pull, I felt compelled to go to the attic. As I climbed the creaky stairs, the storm intensified, the wind howling like a banshee outside. I reached the attic door and hesitated, the air thick with anticipation. I pushed it open, and the musty smell enveloped me. There, in the corner, sat an old toy box, layers of dust coating its surface. My hands trembled as I lifted the lid, revealing a dusty music box nestled inside. As my fingers brushed against it, the box sprang to life, playing a haunting lullaby that echoed through the attic, weaving its way into my memories. Images of Billy flooded back, his laughter, the games we played, the shadows lurking just beyond our innocence. I could almost feel him beside me, urging me to remember, to confront whatever darkness had taken him away. "Don't forget me, Jake," I imagined him saying, his voice a whisper in the storm. With a deep breath, I steeled myself, preparing to face the ghosts of my past. The morning light filtered through the cracked windows, illuminating the dust motes that danced in the air. I wandered through the house, each step echoing against the silence, a haunting reminder of my childhood. The familiar scent of my mother's perfume lingered faintly, triggering waves of nostalgia that ebbed and flowed like the storm from the night before. I paused at the entrance of the living room, where old toys lay scattered, remnants of a happier time. "Why did you leave me here?" I whispered to the empty room, the question hanging in the air as if expecting an answer. As I picked up a worn-out teddy bear, I felt an inexplicable pull, an urge to remember everything I had tried so desperately to forget. The bear's fur was matted, but I could almost feel Billy's small hands clutching it, his laughter echoing in my ears. Suddenly, a vivid flashback surged through me, a family gathering, laughter, and the clinking of glasses. But there was something else, something dark lurking in the background, a shadowy figure watching us. I could see the way my parents looked at it, their smiles faltering. "Who was that?" I murmured, my heart racing as the memory faded, leaving a bitter taste of fear and confusion. I shook my head, trying to clear the images, but they clung to me like a second skin. "I need to know," I said aloud, the words a promise to myself. As the afternoon wore on, the house creaked and settled, the storm outside mirroring the chaos inside my mind. I found myself wandering back to the attic, a place I had avoided for years. The whispers started as the sun dipped below the horizon, soft and beckoning. "Jake, come here." The sound slithered through the silence, wrapping around me like a shroud. I followed the whispers, heart pounding, until I reached a hidden door behind an old bookshelf. With a shove, the door creaked open, revealing a dusty room filled with forgotten memories. There, on a small table, lay a diary, my mother's diary. The leather cover was cracked, the pages yellowed with age. I opened it slowly, the musty scent filling my lungs, and began to read. The entries were filled with disturbing thoughts, tales of guilt, loss, and a dark entity she referred to as the Keeper of Secrets. My breath caught in my throat as I realized these were no ordinary musings. They were cries for help. "Mom, what did you know?" I whispered, feeling an overwhelming wave of dread wash over me. The storm outside intensified, thunder rumbling as if responding to my turmoil. I could sense the weight of my family's history pressing down on me, a suffocating blanket of secrets that begged to be uncovered. And as I turned the pages, the whispers grew louder, urging me to confront the truths that lay buried within these walls. As I sat there, the diary heavy in my hands, my heart raced with every word I read. My mother's elegant script revealed a tapestry of pain woven into our family's history, mental illness, despair, and tragedy that had lurked beneath the surface like a predator waiting for its moment to strike. "Never speak of the past," her warning echoed in my mind, a mantra that now felt like a shackle. I could almost hear her voice, filled with urgency, urging me to turn back before it was too late. "Jake, please," she would say, her eyes wide with terror. "There are things better left buried." I shook my head, trying to dispel the memories, but the shadows in the room seemed to pulse with life. Outside, the storm raged on, thunder cracking like a whip, and lightning illuminated the dark corners of the house. My skin prickled as I felt a chill sweep over me, a presence lurking just beyond my line of sight. I glanced around, half expecting to see something emerge from the darkness, but all I could see were the remnants of my childhood. Old toys, dusty furniture, and the faded scent of my mother's perfume mixed with the musty air. Suddenly, the music box I had found in the attic began to play on its own, its soft lullaby hauntingly familiar. I froze, my breath hitching in my throat. The lights flickered violently, plunging me into darkness for a heartbeat before they returned, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. I turned slowly, heart pounding, and that was when I saw him. Billy. There he stood, a spectral figure with a smile that sent a shiver down my spine. "Jake," he called, his voice echoing like a distant memory. "Why did you leave me?" I staggered back, trying to comprehend the apparition before me. "Billy? How? How are you here?" My voice trembled, caught between disbelief and a yearning I had buried for so long. His smile faded slightly, replaced by a look that was both innocent and sinister. "You have to understand, Jake. It's not just about what happened. It's about what you did. We're tied together by this family's darkness." The weight of his words settled heavily in the air, pressing down on me as I felt the walls of the house close in. I wanted to reach out, to embrace him, but fear held me hostage. "What do you mean?" I whispered, my voice barely audible over the storm. "I need you to confront it," Billy urged, his form flickering like a candle in the wind. "You can't keep running from the truth. You have to face it for both of us." As the storm howled outside, I realized that the very fabric of my reality was unraveling. Shadows darted around the room, taunting me with glimpses of the past, of choices I had made, of guilt I had buried so deep it was almost forgotten. The storm matched the turmoil within me, a tempest raging against the walls of my mind. "Billy," I said, my voice cracking, "I don't know if I can." "You have to." His expression shifted, a mix of sadness and determination. "If you want to save me, you must confront the darkness. Only then can we be free." And with that, the room filled with an oppressive silence, the lullaby still playing softly in the background. A reminder of the bond that tethered us to this house, this legacy, and the shadows that danced just beyond the light. The moment I laid eyes on Billy's ghost, my heart lurched. His familiar features were twisted with a haunting smile, and I could barely breathe as I stood frozen in disbelief. "Jake," he said, his voice echoing like a distant memory, "you have to understand. I'm trapped here because of our family. It's not just me, it's all of us." "Trapped?" I forced the word out, my throat dry. "What do you mean? I thought you were gone." "I am, but not really. Our family's past, what happened that night, it binds me here, feeds off the guilt and pain. You must confront it. Only then can I be free." His eyes shimmered with an unsettling mix of longing and despair. "Confront what?" I felt the shadows in the room grow heavier, pressing against my chest. "What are you talking about?" "The dark figure," he whispered, his gaze drifting to the attic window, where the rain lashed violently against the glass. "It's been waiting, Jake. We both know it. You need to face your guilt, and then maybe I can finally rest." Suddenly, I was pulled into a vision, the world around me dissolving into an indistinguishable blur. I found myself back in that dreadful night, the air thick with tension as I saw my parents arguing in the living room, their faces twisted in fear. The shadows loomed in the corners, forming into a vague figure that seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. "Stop!" I shouted, but my voice was lost in the cacophony of thunder outside. The dark figure stepped forward, its features obscured, yet I felt an overwhelming sense of dread wash over me. I was a mere spectator, unable to intervene as my parents faced this entity. Then it hit me. My heart raced as I pieced together fragments of memories, flashes of moments I had tried to bury. I had been there, afraid, frozen, and silent. My inaction had contributed to Billy's fate. No, I screamed, but the vision shattered, throwing me back into the confines of the attic, breathless and shaken. I realized that the storm outside was a reflection of my inner turmoil. The walls seemed to pulse, alive with energy and despair. I have to confront it, I murmured to myself, the weight of the truth settling heavily on my shoulders. I have to face the darkness. The storm raged on, and I felt a surge of determination. I would not let my brother remain trapped any longer. I had to uncover the truth, no matter how terrifying it might be. I took a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of dust and memories, as I gathered everything I needed for the ritual. The attic was dimly lit by the flickering light of a candle I had found among the old boxes. The storm outside raged on, thunder rolling like a warning in the distance. I placed the diary on the makeshift altar, its pages whispering secrets I was desperate to uncover. "This is it," I muttered to myself, hands trembling as I arranged the items. A small mirror, a photo of Billy, and a black feather I had once found in the backyard. Each piece held a thread of my family's tangled history. "Come on, Jake. You can do this," I said aloud, trying to bolster my courage. But deep down, I was terrified. The shadows seemed to dance closer, whispering taunts that echoed my fears. I closed my eyes, focusing on the incantation I had pieced together from my mother's diary. "I summon you, Keeper of Secrets. Reveal the truth and set us free." As my voice filled the attic, a chill swept through the room, snuffing out the candle's flame and plunging me into darkness. Panic surged through me as I felt a weight pressing down, suffocating. "No, not like this," I shouted, but my voice was swallowed by the void. Then, slowly, the shadows began to coalesce. From the darkness emerged a figure, a grotesque reflection of my mother, her face twisted in a mask of sorrow and rage. "You dare call me?" her voice echoed, a haunting melody laced with pain. "You think you can escape the legacy of guilt?" I stumbled backward, heart racing. "What do you want from me?" I cried, desperate for clarity. "Everything," she hissed, her form shifting, revealing glimpses of my childhood, the laughter, the games, and then the darkness that enveloped it all. "You are not just a victim, Jake. You are the reason your brother is lost." The words hit me like a physical blow, memories flooding back. My childish decision to hide, to lock Billy out of our game that fateful night. "No, I didn't mean to," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "I was just a kid." "Your guilt feeds me," the entity said, her eyes piercing through me, revealing the depth of my shame. As everything around me began to swirl, I realized the truth was more horrifying than I could have ever imagined. Just as I was starting to comprehend the full weight of my actions, she lunged at me, darkness consuming the room, leaving my fate and the truth hanging in the balance.